Welcome to the channel. Today we'll be doing a deck profile. Something I just cooked up. Honestly, I don't really. I have a one thing I can say. This is one of those, another one of those. It's not a competitive deck, but it is a deck. Best way to put it. I'll have a thing real quick to. Sure. Okay. So let's get to it. This is the deck that we working with. It is a mostly pure odd eyes deck, really. And this is a very expensive deck for people who like to pull, for people who like to be on the cheaper side when it comes to playing the game. Like there's a lot of URs and SRs. But okay, so we got one odd eyes advanced dragon, one odd eyes lancer dragon, two odd eyes pendulum dragons, and this one kit was from a giveaway for free, so most people should have this one. We have two Xiang. Why do these magicians need ridiculous names? Two of this magician right here. We have two Exceed Odd Eyes Saber Dragon. The key to this deck apparently is Saber Dragon because it's the only one I could get out when I was doing my test plays. But other ones are useful. We have Performer Pal Odd Eyes Unicorn. We have two of her. We have two Odd Eyes Dragons. Because the effect is actually very different from Pendulum Dragon. Then we have two of this magician. You'll notice the other running thing is dark and light. Then we have a Sky Iris, Odd Eyes Fusion, Pendulum Call, to the Claw of Hermos, two Abyss Stung Gray for the defensive side of the deck, you know? Need something that balances out all these over super level cards that need other things to get out. And then you have Pendulum Reborn. And every key extra deck monster does sit on the same rule, mostly URs, literally all URs and two normals. We have Starving Venom Fusion Dragon. We have Borolo Furious Dragon. We have a Beast Eyes Pendulum Dragon. We have the only normal rarity, Red Eyes Black Dragon Sword. Then we have the everyday Joe Red Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord. Odd Eyes. Too many eyes. Odd Eyes Rebellion Dragon Overlord. Odd Eyes Raging Dragon. This one, I don't know how people get it out. I just threw it in here in case anyone want to test this deck out in the future. And I just have it. I don't even use it much. And then we have Dark Rebellion Exceeds Dragon. Okay. Sorry, I'm a bit sleepy. The skill we have isn't very big of a deal. It's just Draw Sense, Spell, and Trap right here. and I'll say it again, this deck is not for competitive. You'll see, since I do my videos in competitive, that the only reason I won the 2 duels out of these 4 examples is that my opponent gave up because they had no other options. Well, the first one, no, but the second one I got was just because they could have beat me, but they decided not to. I'm very fair when I do these examples. I always show the good and the bad in the deck. I'm not just going to show the good parts. So, just before we get into the body slamming, let us go to the first example. Enjoy the show. that was the video. Hope you liked it. Like, comment, or subscribe. If you have any deck ideas and I can do them, or if I need a bit of time, I can do them for you. With that being said, have yourselves a wonderful day. Peace.